My name is Adora Akojer. I'm the founder of Better Agric Ventures Limited. We're a 100% Nigerian company operational in Kano State. What we do at Better Agric Ventures is value addition to perishables, especially tomatoes, pepper, and onions. And we run from the beginning of the cycle, from production to processing and storage. And we are doing this to extend the shelf life of perishables, widely consumed perishables in Nigeria, and to make healthy eating more popular among the population. Yeah. So I'm so excited to be on this interview with Just for Women Africa. When they reached out to me, I was very much excited to be able to share my work with everyone who can listen. So I'm encouraging you to please listen to this interview with me. And thank you very much, Just for Women Africa, for this opportunity. Prior to now, I worked as a journalist with a reputable organization here in Nigeria. So in one of my field reports, I happened to be on a farm where I was able to see, witness firsthand some major challenges faced by farmers of perishables. And precisely, it was tomato farmers this time around. So what happened was, it was during the period of the glut where we had a lot of tomatoes in the markets. So we had a lot of farmers who could not access markets. They couldn't sell their produce because the markets were saturated. And of course, they did not have avenues maybe for exporting to neighboring countries or other states outside. So rather than harvest the produce, they left them on the farm to rot. So we're talking about hectares and hectares of tomatoes that were cultivated, but everything was left on the farm to rot. And the farmers, they lost money, they lost, in fact, their employees, that's the farm laborers, they lost a lot of things and they couldn't do anything about it. They were helpless. Some of them did not even bother venturing back into business anymore. And some decided in the next season to plant other staples. So when I saw this, I was like, what could be the problem? Like, why do they have to be subjected to this kind of issue? And I started thinking, okay, what are the major problems that prevent shelf life extension in tomatoes in Nigeria, especially? And then when I did a little research, I understood that we lack processing capacities, mechanisms for storage and the likes here. That is one of the huge challenges of perishables production in Nigeria. So when I looked around, I just checked a few other companies that are into it, just very few. And at the time, I think the big Dangote processing factory was also coming up, but hadn't started operations. So I now started thinking, if we had a small hub of processors rather, who would come together that's just very close to these farmers, that would collect their produce from them at harvest and process them in order to increase their shelf life, it will go a long way, because not all the farmers would have access to the markets or be able to export and do all of that. So these smallholder farmers, we need to find a way to help them. So that was the start. I thought about it. I was like, okay, what companies do this like on a small scale level in Nigeria? They're just very few, maybe like 2 or 3. So I'm like, okay, why don't I start? Why don't I start something? It would help. And that was how I started the business. Okay, a lot, because I underplayed the what would I call it now? I underplayed the intensity of the business because it's quite capital intensive, very much capital intensive to own a food processing company, anywhere in the world, right? So I thought, okay, this was something that was just going to be easy because we are just using some traditional and modern mechanisms combined in order to achieve our output. But when I started, I realized that, I needed a lot of funds, to be able to get and because if you're producing food for a population, what people would consume, food safety measures have to be put in place, and a whole lot of other things that have to do with good hygienic practices and all of that. So that requires the use of good food grade equipment that will make sure that your food that is being produced is safe and not tampered with. So all of those required funding that needs to be put into the business to make sure that we acquire those equipment. So it is very much capital intensive. I think that is the first challenge that I encountered in starting up the business. Started off with a grant. We started up the business with a grant precisely from the Tony Elumelu Foundation. That was a grant we won in 2019. So we kicked off fully operations in 2021, right? So that money that we won was $5,000. That was what we used to start. And then along the line, growing the business, of course, you wouldn't make profit or break even immediately. I think the first year was it was even a loss, right? So it was from the second, third year that we started, we had a break even and then started seeing, profits subsequently. So we had to bring in, of course, personal funds had to go into the business. Funds from family and friends, supporters, had to go into the business, and it's still going into the business. So then alongside the small profits we're also making, which we're also putting back into the business. So that's how far we've been managing the financing for now, while still applying for other opportunities to be able to grow and expand what we're doing. We source from the farmers because, like I said, for now, we have every year, it's a thing. Any perishable, not just tomatoes, even fruits. There's a popular fruit market in Kano called Enlemu. If you go to Enlemu during the peak of harvest period, where you have lots of fruits, the oranges, watermelons, and everything, just along the road, sometimes when they don't sell, the traders don't sell off there, but you would see them. They pack everything. Some of them, they stay there for days, spoiling. Maybe some inside the markets in their stalls or their sheds, you would see them there spoiling. So it's a general problem when it comes to perishables, right? So with the tomatoes, this is not an exception for the tomatoes. So you see them spoiling, you see the farmers running into a loss. So what we're trying to do is to assist these farmers to be able to, first of all, manage what they produce such that what they produce is completely taken off of the farms, bought and used accordingly, while curbing all forms of post-harvest losses and wastage with respect to food. So that's why we're working with the smallholder farmers for now. But of course, subsequently, as we grow, when we know that maybe the farmers will not be able to feed our production capacity, we would have to start in and venture into farming as well. We buy in crates, right? They're plastic crates. So before now, I think the baskets is still very much common. So, but a lot of people use the baskets to buy. So you could have the big basket, the half basket, the small basket, as the case may be. But for the sake of transportation and preserving the tomatoes, we buy in plastic crates. It helps to keep them, for a long time without crushing them. So we buy, probably in a week, we could buy as much as 50, 60 crates of tomatoes, and an average crate of tomato weighs 25 kg. So that is the quantity that we get. Okay, so our official packaging material is the glass jar. And I think the biggest size of the glass jar we use is 950 ml. So, and that is, net weight is 1.2 kg by the time you put the tomato paste inside the jar. So a 25 kg crate of tomatoes would give you, let's say 25 divided by 5, that's about 6-7 jars of tomato paste, because we don't mix the tomatoes. It is 100% natural, so we don't augment or complement with starch or any other thing, or potatoes or other things that some other processors might use. So it is pure, natural, 100% whole tomatoes processed into paste. It is unique because it is 100% natural compared to every other product that you might get on existing shelves of supermarkets. You'd hardly find 100% natural, pure tomatoes. So most tomatoes that we consume here in Nigeria is usually maybe, I think the standard for tomato paste production is 18% concentrate. And that 18% is the tomato paste itself. Then the remaining 82% comprises other things. Like I said, some use starch, some use potatoes, different things just to make up that paste. But what we give is 100% natural. Some companies even do less than 18%, some do 9% concentrate. You understand? But we have said, no, we want to promote like what you should expect is what you get. If you say you're eating tomato paste, let it be tomatoes wholly, truly, 100%. That's what makes it unique. They will always be our competitors, right? They have always been and they will always be. And they are the people that own the majority share of the market when it comes to tomatoes. Some of them have existed even before I was born. So they are household names, people know them, people use them, people have passed them on, through generations of their families, because of course they've shown to be consistent and people trust the brand name and what they give. So they would always be our competitors. They are very big names that we're just small, up and coming, So we look up to them. We learn from them, what they do, their marketing processes, their strategies, and all of that. That is what we also try to learn and, adopt and possibly change in our own business as well. Yeah, a lot of sensitization. A lot of sensitization has to be done. A lot of advertising, publicity, a lot of putting the local brands out there, both from the ends of the brand owners, and as well as from the government ends. I think the government has some schemes where they're talking about eat local, patronize made in Nigeria products and all of that they emphasize on and they advertise from time to time. But I don't think it is sinking well, among the consumers. Probably because some local brands have shown not to be trustworthy over time. You call yourself a small business, but you don't want to probably grow and be like a big business someday. You want to keep operating small. You want to play with the little trust that your consumers have put in your hands. So the brand owners, we have to do a lot to make sure that our customers can actually trust us and rely on us. Then the government too should not rest. They should also keep encouraging the citizens to patronize local businesses as well. We have distributors, or what you call stockists, in a few states in Nigeria. We have in Lagos, we have in Abuja, we have in Port Harcourt. We had in Owerri before the person moved away from the country, but we're trying to find a replacement for that. So we have in a few places, and then we also make direct deliveries, supplies to direct customers who order via our online platform, WhatsApp or Facebook or Instagram. So that is how we're able to reach our customers. Okay, so the official production season, for now, we're working with the official production season of fresh tomatoes in Nigeria. And the calendar starts, let's say, November ending, up until March ending April, where tomatoes start to get scarce. So but we focus our production within this period before tomatoes start becoming scarce. So that is like, let's say, give or take, that is like 5 to 6 months, if at all, if we get lucky, 6 months, right? So within that period, we're able to produce as much as as much as I think our highest production has been that of this last season, that's this year, we had about 3,000 jars of tomatoes produced, about 3,000 jars. And currently now, because of the tomato scarcity that hit the country this time, we're currently sold out on all our products. So we focus on production during the on season, and then we sell during the off season. So when people can readily get tomatoes in the market, very cheap at good prices, we keep our products. That is what we do for now until we're able to devise a mechanism where we can have year-round farming. It is greenhouse farming that will give us year-round farming. So we're trying to work on it to see how we can bring investors to be able to set up greenhouses so we can have year-round production, so we can also have year-round processing and year-round sales of our products. Well, future plans would be the first I mentioned earlier, which is the setting up of greenhouses. We need those, in areas where the production of fresh tomatoes is abundant, because there are particular local governments in Kano where we are based that are known for large volumes of tomato production. So we would want greenhouses to be set up in those places so that we can have consistent and year-round supply of our raw materials. That is one. Then we also we're working currently in collaboration with the Nigerian Stored Products Research Institute. Those are our partners. They're a federal government agency under the Ministry of Agriculture. So what we do is, it is with their research efforts that we're able to come up with more modern methods on how to extend shelf life in products, in produce generally, whether perishables or staples. So they've been able to come up with this. I know it's kind of a thing in probably other developed countries, the solar-powered storage unit, cold room, as some of us may call it. So we have one here in our center in Kano where we use. So when we get our raw materials, we put them in there. When we're ready to process, we bring them out. But it's just a small unit. So we're trying to see how in my business to be able to get a bigger unit of that, so that when we don't have to worry about, if we harvest this produce, where would they stay? Where are we going to keep them? We know that we can keep them in a storage unit that uses renewable energy. So in that way, we're also promoting a mitigation of climate change, release of harmful gases, and use of renewable energy, and all of that. So that is what we're trying to do. Let's say in the long run, where we are going to with this business. Yeah. Yeah, I'd say start small. You can start. I mean, we are Nigerians, we are Africans. We have a lot of methods of that our mothers, our grandmothers have used to preserve food over time. So these are some of the things that people like me started with, the traditional methods that we learned from our mothers. So before you now start talking about the modern methods, bringing in heavy duty equipment, food grade standard equipment, and all of that. So whatever you can with, as far as you have consistent source of raw material supply, that is what you need, so you don't run out of raw materials in your business, because that is what you need to feed your business with. If you're close to your raw materials, the better for you. Just start, just do it. And as you grow, you keep increasing and adding on things to your business to make your production process easier, swift.